We're delighted to introduce a new segment for Arise Review with an old friend of the program. Andrew Rosario is here with Sports Review. Andrew, your first story is about the big fight, a fight many say is more than 5 years too late.
Yeah, Julian, but it's finally going to happen. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao will step into the ring on Saturday, May 2nd at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. They met the media for the first time at a red carpet event last Wednesday in Los Angeles. Mayweather will take his undefeated record at 47-0 against Pacquiao, 57-5, who has won championships in 8 different classes. Both camps are to blame for the fight not happening sooner. Some blame promoter Bob Arum, who has held a grudge against Mayweather since they parted ways after his contract expired. Some blame Pacquiao for not adhering to the drug testing Mayweather proposed. This fight is expected to be the highest revenue-generated sporting event in history. For folks at home, expect to shell out at least $100 for pay-per-view. If you're lucky to attend the fight, the cheapest ticket will cost you $1,000, with ringside seats going for at least $5 grand. Both fighters are expected to make close to $200 million after pay-per-view and ticket sales. Julian, I think we're in the wrong business. Tickets to the fight were sold out in 15 minutes after the match was confirmed. The fight is so big, MGM is not comping tickets to even the A-list crowd. Boxing pundits have expressed their opinion on who they think will win and who has the most to lose should they come out on the wrong end of the decision. Rarely do sporting events of this magnitude live up to the hype. Until this last Super Bowl, previous games turned out to be a dud. Something tells me this fight will live up to the hype. Boxing badly needs it to be because both the MMA and the UFC have been stealing their thunder from boxing. On May 2nd in Las Vegas, the world will tune in to watch a match that should have taken place at least 5 years ago.
Look, I don't know if I'm going to spend $100 on pay-per-view, but
Yes,
I got to tell you, well, no, I'm not spending that kind of money. But, you know, the usual shenanigans in boxing, obviously, that a lot of us have missed since we haven't been watching this, and UFC and MMA have picking up a whole lot of stuff here. But I've got to ask you, all that set aside, who do you think is going to win this fight?
You know, they say that styles make fights, and these two guys, Pacquiao is the kind of guy that is the aggressor. He's coming at you, throwing a lot of punches per round, whereas Floyd is more of a defensive fighter, a counter puncher. It's going to be very interesting. I'll save my prediction for later on.
Okay, well, I'm going for the people's champ, Pacquiao. I don't back down from that.
Okay.
Anyway, for most of us, the cities on the East Coast of the U.S., it's been a brutal winter, but it has been an especially sad winter for Chicago baseball fans as they have lost 2 revered icons.
Yeah, Julian, very sad news for baseball fans, especially in Chicago. In January, legendary shortstop first baseman Ernie Banks passed away. And then earlier this month, Mr. White Sox, Manny Minoso, joined Ernie in baseball heaven. Both men were more than first players of color for their respective teams. Banks, a black man, and Minoso, a black Cuban, were the hearts and souls of their teams. Both had great careers. Banks, a 14-time All-Star, hit 512 home runs and was voted league MVP 2 straight years, 1958 and 1959. Minoso was a 9-time All-Star and won 3 Golden Glove awards. Although neither would lead their teams to a World Series, they made their team contenders every year. So we say goodbye to Mr. Cub Ernie Banks, who coined the term "Let's play 2", and Manny Minoso, the Cuban Comet. Some suggested that every major league team play a doubleheader this year to honor Banks. I say let's play 2 in honor of both of them.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of people obviously in this country know more about Ernie Banks, Mr. Cub.
Right.
But Minoso, a lot of people perhaps don't really know who he is or really what he was about.
Yeah, that's true. But in Chicago, they knew who he was. And again, being the first black Cuban to play for the White Sox, he brought a lot of Cuban baseball players after him.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I mean, you know, he's the first of many that have come here, and of course, people know all too well about specifically 2 countries. Oh, I could say 3: Puerto Rico, of course, the Dominican Republic, and Cuba. Big-time baseball.
Yes, big time. Louis Tiant is one of them.
That's right. I forgot about him.
The list goes on and on for the number of Cuban players that made an impact on the major leagues.
What do you think else could be done to get people more aware of the contributions of Minoso specifically?
I think that falls on Major League Baseball. They need to start promoting not only the Cuban baseball players, but even the African-American baseball players. The number of African-American baseball players is dwindling year by year.
What is the reason for it? Because they're talking about, well, they don't have the resources, they don't have playing fields. We never had playing fields. They were sandlot fields in the city. Nothing has changed. So what do you think is
the popularity of basketball and football? that's the #1 reason why there's been a decline in the African-American players in the major leagues.
And I guess this whole thing with the Little League scandal now that happened in Chicago is probably perhaps not helping things.
It's not helping any either. But again, I go back to Major League Baseball doing a better job of promoting during the regular season, in the off season, and making sure that the African-American players and even the Cuban players, the Hispanic players, get the type of publicity that they deserve.
But actually, though, there's still a lot of Hispanic players in the major leagues.
Yeah,
now,
Major League Baseball right now, they're opening up camps in the Dominican Republic for the baseball players. They're teaching them not only to play baseball, but they're teaching them how to speak English, so that when they do get drafted, when they do come to the United States, they'll be able to mingle with the other players as well as the media.
All right, well, great job, and great for you being here, part of Review Now with your own little segment, sir. Moving on up there,
trying
Mr.
to get like you.
Oh, well, please. Okay. Andrew, thanks so much.
Yep.
And thank you for joining us on Arise Review. You can keep in touch with all Arise programs on Facebook. I'm Julian Phillips. Have a great, productive, and wonderful week.